We had one at middle school. Huge, semi-intelligent tard. We named him Don, as in the mafia boss. We pretended to be his henchman. I was the Don's mouth. That is, I had to push feed him for the list of names each month. We had to beat the shit out of anyone on that list. Downey eventually gets into the part, starts coming to school with a little red nose in his pocket, and starts picking up a Sicilian accent. One week, he insists we have to put one of the teachers on the list. We refuse and say no. Gets visibly angry and starts calling us no good. He rises, picks a chair, and goes looking for the teacher. Teacher steps into the class for a moment. Don takes the chair and starts whacking the teacher with the chair. I'll almost pass out of laughters. Janitors come, Don gets suspended. Teacher finds the list. Friend gets framed and suspended as well. Don returns to school 1 week later. Kiss his hands saying, "Welcome back, Don." Don is back, and apparently he had a few sessions with the school therapist for Downies. Therapist had brainwashed him into thinking that whacking people with a chair was not okay. Don, we need a new list. No list. But Don, no. Eventually managed to convince him that the therapist told him so because he was actually afraid of him. To better get the message through his head, I showed him a few DBZ AMVs. You know, the ones with the Linkin Park songs. Don finally reawakens. He is all jacked up and pumped because of my AMVs. Classmates that got suspended threatens to snitch. Hey Don, one of your men has betrayed us. Don says nothing. Don, what do we do? Don still says nothing, but I see his legs shaking. Don? No later! We get out of the school, lose sight of him. Suddenly I hear people screaming. Apparently Don had charged like a fucking rhino through the crowd against the snitch, tripping him over the stairs. Snitch gets up and slaps Don as hardest as he can. Oh shit.jpg. Don starts screeching like a T-Rex. He wants to kill the snitch now. Long story short, a policeman passes by and he gets the idea that the snitch is bullying Don. Snitch gets another suspension, eventually changes school. He still doesn't know it was my fault all along. Other kids are now legitimately scared of Don. Now kids from other classes want to be among his men. We even had some kind of made men ritual, where Don had to decide if the new members are worthy. Me and Don end up sharing the same desk for the rest of the year. Towards the end of second semester, Don now has 40 made men. We even have a secret gesture. Has developed to a real addiction to Dragon Ball AMVs, and is now convinced he is some kind of manifesto Super Saiyan. Thanks to my charisma, I am now one of the Don's official concierge. Parents are super happy that Don has so many friends. They frequently invite me and a few to other trusted made men's home. The list thing has been abandoned now that the whole school knows about us. The Don now has a social life, friends and frequent power trips, courtesy of DB AMVs. He goes to an afternoon school for Downies, but he has a Downey GF, and he treats her like the gun mole or something. One Downey at the afternoon school is obviously not okay with the Don's success. Of course, it's not long before a new list gets issued, and the rival Tard's name appears on that list. As his trusted concierge, I tell him to stay calm and wait for the right time for vengeance. One afternoon, we get some kind of bullshit integration course into tolerance and diversity. The enemy Downey is the speaker. Don is fucking fuming right now. We try to calm him down to avoid another rhino charge by feeding him Mars bars. Meanwhile, the enemy Downey has ended his speech. The Don's gun mole is there as well, and she starts clapping at the Downey. Downey gets close and kisses the Don's woman. Oh shit.jpg. The Don freezes, while parts of Mars drool out his mouth. He pushes me aside, and Rhino charges the Downey. He stabs him in the leg with a fucking big pen. Janitors roll out in full force to stop the Don. Eventually, I call the parents. The Don's gun mole has now viciously changed sides. She slaps the Don and starts sucking the Downey's open wound. Really? Don now faces the risk of being expelled. The therapist puts him on meds and mentions bad influences to his mother. I get a special mention for being friend with him as an example of tolerance, blah blah blah. Eventually, the Don is not suspended, thanks to our insistence. We even get the school's director to keep him, leveraging on pity and shit. The Don returns. He is visibly changed, less responsive. Don? What's wrong? Don? School! I like school! He was drawing a house with flowers the whole time. The Don keeps his head low for a few days. His mum invites me to his place one day. Apparently she's still oblivious to our little club. Find a bottle of pills on the kitchen's table. Apparently the fucker got under Xanax. Report to the other made men and decide how to proceed with the Don out of the games. One of the made men agrees to replace the Xanax with vitamin B. We get ourselves invited to the Don's place once more to complete the ordeal. A few days pass, the Don is slowly returning among us. Parents keep stuffing his face with pills. The fools were merely making the Don stronger. The Don has obviously not taken well to the gun's moral betrayal and the other Downies sending him into therapy. Demands his men to take care of both Downies. Don, we have a new one who wants to become a made man. Who? A scrawny kid comes forward, advancing towards Don. No, he is no good. But Don, he will make anything for you. Don goes silent, then starts laughing. Yes, yes! As the consigliere, I demand the newcomer show his worth by being admitted into the family, by becoming the Don's new bodyguard for a whole week. Which means he had to buy a Mars. I downloaded Dragon Ball related stuff and the overall pleas of the Don's demands for the material goods. The Don is now back in full force. I jacked up the vitamin Bs, Linkin Park and hatred. Parents still think he's on Xanax, so they are sending him to the Tard school again. Scrawny kid is forced to go with him. Afternoon Tard Wranglers arrange some kind of social game for the Tards. Well, they have to guess a thing while blindfolded. The Don gets a seat next to his arch enemy. Wranglers want them to make peace.